Welcome to Forest.chat, where we talk about individual endeavour in Western Australia, what it takes, what it means, and how you do it. I'm your host, Paul Vandermeer, and in today's episode, we're talking with Wayne Turner about classic rallying. Wayne started classic rallying about 20 years ago, a couple of years as a service crew member, and then about 18 years worth of competition. Welcome to Forest.chat, Wayne.
Thank you, Paul. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Great to have you here. Wayne, what is classic rallying?
Basically, it's having a car from the 60s and tearing around on country roads that are closed so we can officially race.
So they actually shut the road down? And
They shut the roads down, allow spectators to come in and watch for free. It's big in Western Australia, eastern states and worldwide.
And how many events do they have around here in WA?
In Western Australia, we have two major events, being Tarmac West in Perth, which has been running for close on 18 years, 20 years, and Tarmac Southwest in Pemberton, which has been running for about 15 years. And in between, we have what they call rally sprints, which is a sprint down the road or around a track or around a car park or something.
What you'd think of as a single venue.
Yeah, a single venue, just doing one tarmac stage over and over again.
In both directions?
Yes, both directions. The difference between rally sprints and tarmac with the Targa West and Targa Southwest do up to 20 stages, 30 stages over different areas. Tarmac West starts in Perth, goes out to Kalamunda Hills, then out to 2J and back into North Wanneroo, Malaga area on the Sunday, then the Riverside Drive for the Sunday afternoon finale. Targa Southwest is basically all the roads around Pemberton that have been picked out, all sealed tarmac roads.
The sealed tarmac roads makes the event very consistent, I would imagine.
It does. It throws up its own hairy ones. Pemberton, as you can appreciate, doesn't get a lot of sunshine down there through the big carry trees. So if it does rain, we get a lot of moisture on the road and obviously oil from the trees. It's got a few people, including myself, off. But one Tarmac West in Perth, there's different road surfaces. The quality roads you get in Perth, and then you go further out into the local government shire at 2J. They haven't got the funding, but they offer up some very good circuits or very good stages. The roads are good, not goat tracks. They're well done within the subdivisions up there. Everyone's ever been up 2J way.
So you're rallying past people's houses.
That's the fun part about it. They're out barbecuing, and some of the places you go in 2J, there'll be 30, 40 people sitting out the front having a barbecue, and you have your Ford fans and your Chev fans and your Mitsubishi and Evo fans. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. It's all controlled. All cars are roll caged. You have to wear safety harnesses and helmets and proper driving suits. It's pretty restricted in the classics and what you can do. We can't just buy an old classic car and go whack a big modern Chev motor and have 700 horsepower. It's technically not in the rules. Some have tried it, but you're restricted on what you can do and what you can't do, and you've got to keep it reasonably period correct.
So how does a car become a classic rally car? What criteria do you work with?
They base it on age of the car. So mine, for instance, 1964. So we're now in late classic, and there's early. I think the three events they do is modern, which is the modern cars now you can buy, and then there's early modern, and then we go to the classics. I think classic cars now end at 1985. So anything 85 and below is classed as classic, and then they break those down into early, late, or into years. Tarmac events have awards for 1960, 70s and 80s, so that's their three classic categories. So you choose which can compete overall as classics, but then they break it down into those.
You compete within your own class.
Within your own class, I mean, yeah, that's how they do it. So recently the classic car numbers have dropped off. I think most of the guys that can afford to run them now realise that they're getting rarer and rarer and costing a lot more to repair and get parts for them. And plus the climate's not really there to build them now. It's
Well, your car's the same age as I am.
yeah.
I can't find any spare parts.
It's getting that way, isn't it? I think we're all feeling that.
Your car is a
1964 Ford Sprint from America, so it's a Falcon. I had one before and we crashed that and broke it. So we brought this one from South Australia. The guy who brought it off imported it from America to do historic racing, and it got knocked back because it didn't meet the regs for circuit racing in historics at that stage. So we brought it off him and changed a few things in it and turned it into a tarmac car.
As a race car from America?
Yes, as a race car from America. So just to go back a little bit, in America, they built what they call the Rally Sprint, which is all fiberglass with a steel roof. And they competed in the Monte Carlo Rally, which had the Italians and Americans. The English had the Minis, and the Falcon Sprints actually won the event, but the Minis protested on a technicality and they lost first place to second. So they only built probably, I'm not sure exactly how many, but there's only a few true rally sprints built, and I think the ones that are going around now are selling for up around the $1 million mark. So
Wow.
mine's not a rally sprint, it's just a Ford sprint. It's similar, I guess, for people in Australia want to compare it to the XPs we had over here, two-door XP, Venturas and whatnot, except they had the early V8 motors in it, which were 260cc or something like that. Had the piston about the size of a 20-cent coin, and they were 3-speed. But
So the Australian spec was lower.
Australian specs had a 6-cylinder engine when they were built. It wasn't until a guy in Melbourne imported the V8s from America and put them into the cars to race, but they were right-hand drive, so the Australian version of it with the V8 engine. Not many raced as historics, and it's pretty hard to get them registered. I think we register them as Category 5 cars if we want to compete. I can't have mine because I've modified the engine and gearbox and diff and radiator housings, so we race as invitational only.
So don't meet the letter of the...
We don't get points, so we just get there to make up the numbers and put it at the back of the grid, but that's fine. It's not about winning, it's just about having fun. And
All right, now that you've got onto that side of things, I'll ask you the next question. What does it take you, Wayne, to go classic rallying?
An understanding wife. We have a guy in Bunbury, Peter May Autos, looks after the mechanical side of the car for us. And yeah, we just go out and have fun. It's not about winning or doing anything, it's just about having fun and interacting with the public doing it.
You've mentioned before the podcast about some of the public interaction things that you've done. Do you want to give us an idea of what?
When Tarmac Event started the GT Fabrication Sprint in Bunbury, we had to get across to the Shire that get some benefit of the Shire and the community of Bunbury. We organised what we called a Grab a Granny ride and went to Ocean Star Villas and asked them if we could bring the race cars in and take their residents for a drive around town. They loved it, so we put the word out to all the competitors coming down, and I was only expecting at that stage to get 4 or 5 cars turn up, but we had 30 cars turn up. We had a good afternoon taking the residents for a run. The classic cars were great because a lot of them remember those cars from the area, and we're talking people in the 90s. Well, yeah, we had a good weekend there, and then obviously we have the show and shines down in Pemberton and up in Perth. Ross organised a charity event so we could take the residents for a ride up a hill for a nominated fee, paid the fee, and all the money went to a nominated charity in Pemberton. So it doesn't sound a lot, but I think the race, each time we do it, around a couple of grand. It went to something that needed some money.
Yeah, that couple of grand for the number of people that you're able to put through on something like that. It's a pretty reasonable amount.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I think as we do it, you probably get 4 or 5 runs in up one of their stages. Not at full speed, but for some of them, there's probably never been over 100 k's an hour at that age. You know, a full-bred race car. We're talking some pretty quick cars. A couple of guys we run with had Mustangs and they had some grunt and they used to go up there. So it's just fun.
So that's a great social element of what you do. Do you also get to things like coffee and cars?
Yes, we take the cars. Well, I take mine now these days there's one on this Sunday, 15th of December at the foreshore at Eton. It's called Shannon's Coffee and Cars. So it's $5 entry for a car. Spectators are free and people in the car are free. The money goes to a nominated charity for the year. This past 12 months, money's been going to the Variety Club. And the guy that organises it picks a new charity each year, so everyone gets around. $5 once every 3 months to take the cars down there. It's a great day. You catch up with people you probably haven't seen for those 3-4 months and have a chat and see what's out there and who's changed what and who's got what hidden in the sheds.
Yeah, the what's hidden in the sheds.
That's a big one.
Yeah, we've only been down here 18 months and we've been walking along the estuary and we've been seeing quite a lot of classic cars going past.
Yeah.
Many more than I expected.
Yeah. With the opening a couple of years ago of the car museum in Bunbury, bike museum as well in Bunbury, that's brought a lot of cars out. You can get the classics, you're getting people who restore them and they've got to be period correct, or then you get guys who modify them up and whatnot, which is fine. I don't worry me either way. I've got an old 1958 mainline ute in the shed, which is reasonably rare. That's all original at the moment, but needs work and I'm not going to spend a lot of money on it, but I'm going to leave it as it is because that's how it was. I'm not worried about sticking big fat tyres on it and whatnot.
In days past, one of the things that people did was stick big tyres on it, and a tiny little steering wheel was probably way too small for it, and changed engines or carburettors and all that sort of thing. There's a whole group of people that's what they did with their cars.
Yeah, we done it when we were young blokes, didn't we? We'd have the old EH Holden, we'd stick a set of radials on the back and go down to the Scarborough Beach car park and do drags, or go out to Fremantle and take on the Italian migrants out there in their Valiants. It was all good fun those days.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a whole group of cars that, let's just say it's authentic for them to be displayed like that these days. And then like the main line you've got in the garage is in original as it was driven type state, I would imagine. And then you've got the concourse cars, the ones that have been buffed within a moment of their life, so to speak.
Yeah, so it's good, right? I mean, everyone's got different ideas and what they want. I've got a good mate who owns GT Fabrication. He restores classic cars and does a good job. He doesn't bring them back to the original patina and the original tyres. He puts modified parts on them, but they're show cars, and that's his hobby. I'm not a chef, but he does excellent work, and it's a hobby for him. It's good to see him around. I guess compare it to the guys coming through now who are Evo or Mitsubishi fans or Subaru fans. When they get to our age, they'll talk about the Imprezas and whatnot as being classic cars. To me, I'm a V8 petrol man, so this four-cylinder turbo stuff's not my cup of tea. I'm sure it's good fun, but it's not my cup of tea.
That's it. And you've got to go where things are that excite you.
Yeah, we do. Originally in Tarmac West, Tarmac events, it was set off as classic events or something. It was just small classic cars. And then it migrated over the years and changed its name, and modern cars started coming in. I guess the classics still draw crowds in, where the modern stuff's not, it draws clouds in, but it's not as big as the V8s. And back at 2J or even up at Mundaring through the Weir there, you can hear the V8s coming from 5-10 k's away. We're just here rolling through the forest. I mean, I guess it's your day when you had the escorts racing through the forest and you could hear them from miles away coming. And that's what you can hear with the V8s on the tarmac. It's the same feeling. I remember we done from Pemmican to coming to the name place in Northcliffe as a stage, which is some 30 k's, and it was pretty quick. And one of my mates was stuck on the side of the road, and we came down the road. We were flat chatted 200 k's an hour, and we had a black Commodore come up behind us. I wasn't going to let him overtake. We had about a kilometre of straight road, so we had a bit of a drag down there. My mate thought it was the best thing he's ever seen two V8s chase each other along the road, so it's tough.
Really good fun to be out there, and I remember one of the first dinky cars I had was an Escort, World Rally Championship Escort from 1980 or whatever it was. That was my introduction to rallying, really, was to have one of those die-cast metal cars. I didn't really get to hear them in the forest at that point. It was years later.
Yeah, well, they're iconic in the forest, the Escorts. I mean, there's the way to go. And so I think it's taken the full circle now in dirt rally, and they've gone from the big V8s down to the quicker, more nimble, four-wheel drive 2-litre cars with the turbos on them. And getting back to tarmac rallying, my brother-in-law had been doing it for quite a while. He'd done, I think, 20 classic Adelaides. I think he's probably done 15, 16 Targa West, if not more. So he's been doing it for a while. He'd done dirt rallying in his day back in the 70s. And unfortunately, we had some freak accidents in Tasmania a couple of years ago with a couple of deaths in 3 separate instances over there. So it got shut down, a coroner's inquiry, and our governing body at that stage, Motorsports Australia, wouldn't licence any of the events. So we basically had hiatus in Australia for a couple of years on tarmac events. We've only just got going again, and this year officially with the new governing body for us is in AASA, the Australian Automotive Sporting Association. So they've taken on the insurance side of things, and there's not a lot of difference between them and MA. Probably a bit easier to work with from what MA are. And the restrictions for us older people aren't as bad. Motorsports Australia at our age want us to do a full medical every year, which is $800, plus the licence fees for us older guys has gone through the roof. For those who can afford it, it's probably fine, but for those that can't, it's a big hit every year, $800 to do a medical. They want us to jump in and out of cars in 30 seconds. It takes me 30 seconds to get out of the chair in the morning. I don't know how they're going to do that, but yeah, they just brought in some rules that have made it hard for, especially the classic cars, having the wing seats on so we can't see out the side of the classic cars. Very restricted with the roll cages.
Yeah, cars have grown over time. Like you think about a Corolla, it used to be quite a small car, but the Corollas that are out there now are probably as big as the original Holdens that were coming off the production line. The more modern cars tend to be bigger, and that means that an older car that's probably more competitive because it's maybe a bit smaller. They get very tight when you want to squeeze in seats that have wings around your helmet. And
I'll just give you an example. A good mate, Paul Crute and Paul Gusson, they run a 1964 Mustang Coupe. Both are very big men, height-wise and body-wise. When we were helping build their car, we had to modify the seats so they could actually get them in. And these weren't wing seats, just normal racing seats and harnesses. There was quite a bit of modification on the tunnels and seats trying to get them in.
To get them in so the guys could fit into
the cars and be safe inside them. So it's not just rip the seat out, let's put a race seat in and go. I've had to put mine on a sliding adjuster because I can't reach the pedals. So
where the seat needs to be to get into it, reach the pedals.
Yeah, if I have the seat up where I'm in a racing position, I can't get into the car. It's a bit of a compromise. And in tarmac, because we have a navigator sitting next to us, we have to adjust the seats so they can get in. So we were lucky we had the same navigator for quite a few years. Recently we've got a new one, but it's good because he's my size, so you don't have to adjust his seat too much, only his seat belt.
Much easier when it's that built-in adjustment.
Yeah, it is.
We've had a good chat now about what it takes to go classic rallying. We'll have a break, and after the break, we'll look at what it means. We've had a good look at what it takes. Now, let's have a look at what it means. Wayne, what does it mean to you, your family, or the community that you're able to go classic rallying?
Paul, I thought about when you mentioned we're going to do this. On a personal note, it's a way of unwinding and relaxing. So it might sound silly that we get into a race car and go belting through the forest with big trees at 200 k's plus an hour and feels relaxed. But I guess if you ask anyone who does any type of speed event, everything slows down. You get used to it very quick. And I don't play golf, so it's an out for me. It's a way of relaxing and clearing the head and stopping the black dog from chasing me around. To the family, well, you'd have to ask my wife that. I guess I've been pretty selfish in building the car and going to these events and spending money where she's been asking for a new kitchen for a few years and she finally got it, then I moved house. So it's compromise, and I've probably compromised, well, she's compromised more than I have. To the community, again, it's an interesting question. I guess the older fellas around now remember the old classic cars and so do the girls, and they get a kick out of seeing them on the road and whatnot. They can argue about what it was and what it's got in it and what it is. And for the young kids coming up, we've always allowed them to sit in the race cars and get their photos taken. They get a kick out of sitting in a race car, and a bit of bragging rights when they go to school and tell the mates. We used to do a lot of posters for the 3 race cars that we're involved in with Frank's Classic Garage. That way you get back to the community a bit, I hope. My car's got a bit of a following in Perth, I think there's only 3 in Australia, the other 2 in the eastern states. So, yeah, give back something like that to the community somehow. Yeah, so when we first started going, we got a team going called Frank's Classic Garage. Originally Kim Stewart in the Mustang. Frank Huber, who built both cars, built Kim's car and serviced them and actually drove mine. I navigated for it. We had a team running for probably close to 10 years with sponsorships. The sponsorship covered stuff like event entries and accommodation for motels, because most of us had to come from the country for going to Perth, or we're going down in Pamina, we needed accommodation, so we had all that covered. So all we had to pay for ourselves was the maintenance of the cars. Yeah, it was good 10 years. COVID came along and stopped that. Now we've got to pay for anything ourselves. It gets a bit tight at times, but we still managed to do it.
And it's well worth doing because of what it does for you.
It definitely does. We've met some fantastic people out of it. Tony's Auto Wreck, Paul Bocelli, he's top bloke. We wouldn't have known him if it was for this stuff, and he's his co-driver. Yeah, Ross and Jan Tapper who run all the events, and they're brilliant people. It's just everyone. It's a really community. I think you guys find it with dirt rallying too, that you do it, you know everyone, and you've heard of different people, and then you get to meet them at a gala dinner or something, and it's good company. Volunteers, the family, we couldn't do these events without volunteers, as you well know. And we see the same faces every year. Those people go beyond whatever they do to get these events running. That's what we do, and we have fun doing it, and they have fun setting up and watching us. And to give you an example, if we're doing Tarmac West, I left at 3 o'clock in the morning, set a stage up and close it off so no traffic coming through it and whatnot. And we turn up there 2 hours later and belt through there in 3 minutes and go off to the next one. I think, oh, gee, that was fun. So, we just couldn't do it.
The volunteers are there, they're doing it, they're getting a lot out of it as well.
I hope they are. They seem to come back. It'd be nice to have some more sponsors where we could sponsor the volunteers for fuel or have their own official dinner or something. There's so many involved. It's a huge exercise and very costly, I would say. So we try and help out where we can with it. So not what you can do. You might, thank you and a good pat and recognise that they're theirs is a main thing. So I think they enjoy it.
So there's a whole range of people that really get a lot out of doing events.
Yeah, I think, I don't know the exact numbers, but Sunday Riverside Drive for Tarmac West, that's one of the biggest free sporting events I've seen. They have different car clubs down there in display and all sort of different things involved with motorsport or motors down there. The Riverside Drive's packed with people. It's great to see the crowds getting out there. And it's a free event. You can go there and watch the cars. Yeah, it's an all-day thing down there, so it's good.
And that sort of thing, you provide encouraging and exciting things for the kids to do as well.
We hope some of these kids that have sat in our cars and the Mustangs and are sitting in the modern cars, the 14-year-olds and whatnot, get excited enough to say, hey, buy me a go-kart, I want to go-kart racing, or go buy me a bunkie so I can go speedway racing. And they've got natural talent, or they'll develop, or they've got a love for it, they'll develop. I don't think you have to be exceptionally brilliant or good at driving to enjoy it. I'm no bloody Peter Brock, far from it. And, I enjoy it. We go at our pace, and I'm not competitive these days. I never have been, so I just like going out there and driving to the best of my ability and enjoy it. You've got another person sitting next to you, so if you crash badly, you've got a chance of visiting them, and that's not something that really goes through your mind. But if you can avoid it, obviously there's times you can't through mechanical failure or whatever, but that's why we spend a lot of time keeping them running. But most of them got modern gear on, to be honest with you, but you still got to keep them going and whatnot.
All those parts have lives.
They do, they do. A bit like us. You wear them out pretty quick.
Well, there's quite a lot of positive meaning comes out of going classic rallying. We'll have another break now, and after the break, we'll talk about how you do it.
Yep.
So I've looked at a lot of positive meaning that comes from competing in classic rallying. Wayne, how would somebody go classic rallying?
Well, if you want to go do classic rallying, the first step is to buy a classic car. It's not a matter of just buying one and jumping in and do it. There's certain regulations and rules in place, so you can still have your classic car and do it, but to do the tarmac events, there's 3 categories. There's what they call a challenge, so you don't need as much safety gear, but your speed restricted to, I think, 130 k's. And then there's another category called 160 k's, and then there's the open competition, which is in WA a maximum of 200 k's. I think in the eastern states, Target Tasmania, it's an open speed thing, which is fine. So you get yourself a classic car, start off in challenge and do challenge. And then you do other events like the rally sprints to get driver experience. And they're held at Motorplex every couple of months. Get used to it, understand pace notes and the rules and regulations. If you don't like it, you haven't spent a lot of money on an old car to do challenge. And when I say old, I mean things are up to 1985 now. So there's things like Toyota Sneakers and the old Tranas and Commodores around. There's cars there that you can buy and do it in. And then once you go above that stage, you get more into the safety side of things with roll cages, proper harnesses and stuff like that. And then maybe you go into 200 k's now, your safety-wise got to have everything. There's 2 ways about it. And they have just introduced another category called TDS, time, distance, speed. So you're given a time to do a stage in, you know the distance, you've got to work out your speed to do it in that time. So in that, you can basically enter any car, but if you want an old classic car you want to take for a run without hurting it, you can do it. They're pretty slow. From what I've heard, I haven't done one. But you got nominated time to start and finish the stage. So
different challenge altogether.
Oh, totally different. Yeah. So I've never done one. I believe in the early days of rallying they used to do it, but I've never done one. So I think you need to know that how fast you got to go to get from point A to point B. Has an average speed, and try and get there. And obviously they award points. You get points awarded for being late. And for being early, whoever finishes the event with the least number of points wins. I think that's a good training ground for people who want to do classics, and it's all about safety. It's no point going out and do it if you're going to kill yourself or someone else or a spectator or something like that. So, but to do it, they're not cheap, I'll be honest with you, to build a car that you feel safe in. It's probably looking around 100,000 mark, probably more nowadays. So there's a lot of cars running around that are classics at well over $150,000, $60,000 spent on them, and because the more competitive they get, the more they throw at it. And all of a sudden, some of these old cars are maybe producing 700 horsepower out of a motor. When it was built, it was only 200 horsepower. So that's what it's all about. But yeah, it's worth doing.
There's a few different levels that you could go at it.
Heaps of different
and
levels.
Obviously, the deeper and faster you're going, the more it's going to cost you.
Yeah. Bigger, longer, shorter pockets you got, more money you got. And there's openings to get into it. They run what we used to call the LF Performance Speed event, which was a ground roots thing for people to get into racing, and you can rock up there with any car you like, and they put you into category and you do laps around the circuit. I enjoyed doing that. I'd done that for probably 2-3 years before I got into the tarmac stuff, so it was good grounding. And obviously you've got to have what they call competition licenses, so there's different stages you get competition licenses at, so it's good.
So there's a grading system for the licenses?
There is, yeah, depending on what you want to do, and there's circuit and tarmac and licenses, and then build up your experience in that, and the more experience you got, the better you go.
Hopefully,
yeah. We've seen people come and go and rock up in these great big souped up cars, do 2 or 3 years of racing, and then they've disappeared. Most guys, when we started, done 10 years and hung up the boots, and young guys that come through. There's a few young guys coming through now with classics in the Commodores and whatnot, so that's good to see. There's a few Porsches running around now that are in the classic categories, so 240Z Datsuns. There's cars out there. You don't have to buy a fully built car to do it. You can get your own and gradually build it up. I guess if you're going to do that, you need to go to someone who knows the regulations or speak to one of the scrutineers who knows the specs and what you can do and what you can't do, and go from there.
Where would someone look for that info? Where would you go to?
Initially, you'd probably talk to the guys at tarmac events, and they'll put you in the direction of who to speak to. And they've got people that know the rules and regulations, what you can do and can't do. Plus, on the website, AASA have a list of what you can do and can't do, and so does Motorsports Australia. When you build a car, you can change them a little bit, but as long as they're within the guidelines they set down. And it's things like engines and horsepower.
And can you just show up at an event and talk to some people?
You can show up at any event you like, and if you see a car you like, most guys we know in tarmac rally are open to talking about their cars and whatnot. Most people like to talk about their cars. You can approach them, they'll put you in contact with guys that dedicate themselves to building these cars, or know someone who can do it for you. You just talk to them and they'll put you in the right place.
There's a bit of a network.
Yeah.
If you ask someone, they might go, "Oh, not me, but him."
Yeah, well, there's guys that fabricate the roll cages. And there's 2 types of roll cage. You can have this what they call the bolt-in, so it actually is bolted in the car and you can unbolt it. Or there's the welded-in ones, which I prefer them because they're built solid. So there's a couple of guys around Perth that can do that modification. I won't mention names to upset someone I haven't mentioned, but yeah, there's people out there who'll help you. And there's guys that'll give you great advice. And then there's things like helmets. They have to be within a certain code, and race suits, they have to be in a certain expiry code and whatnot.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Wayne, for being on Forest.chat. And all our Forest.chat listeners wish you all the best in your future endeavours. What's coming up for you in classic rallying?
Well, hopefully things going the way I would like. The next one would be Tarmac Southwest down at Permanent in March, I think it is next year. That would be our next one. With my way things going, 4 days of rallying is too much for me these days, especially in the heat. So, yeah, Tarmac Southwest will be our next one.
All the best with that one.
Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to Forest.chat, where we talk about individual endeavour in Western Australia, what it takes, what it means, and how you do it. I'm your host, Paul Vandermeer, and in today's episode, we talked with Wayne Turner about classic rallying. Remember, there are 4 ways to get involved with Forest.chat. Share the domain Forest.chat with your family and friends and people you meet. When you subscribe to the emails, you get early advice of coming episodes. Listen to the episodes at forest.chat/episodes. Book an interview at forest.chat/interview. If you want to support a local business, go to forest.chat/advert. I'm looking forward to joining you with our next guest. Until then, enjoy making it happen.